February is always one of my favorite months because it's Aquarius season. It's Valentine's Day as well, which is so fun, and it's one of my favorite little holidays to celebrate. But that being said, it's also a pretty big month astrologically, and that's what I wanted to talk about today because I think it's important to just go into a month being aware of what's going on. I don't know, it's just kind of cool to be like, oh, well, maybe this is going to happen around this time, or maybe I should be aware of this. You don't have to believe in it, but you can have fun with it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all of the things that you can expect to happen in February. Now, of course, this is not tailored to your specific birth chart. This is just a general overview of how the planets are going to be moving in the sky, what's retrograding, what's stationing direct, if we're having full moons, new moons, all of that good stuff. I'm going to talk about it right now. So that way you know. Also, this is a cozy video. I recommend that you get cozy and that you listen to this with me. As you can tell, I'm in my pajamas right now because I too want it to be cozy. So we start the month out with a fun little bang because Neptune and Venus are going to conjunct in Pisces. Of course, we all know that Venus is the planet of love and beauty and relationships and material goods and just what you find pleasure in. And Neptune is such an awesome planet, one of my favorite planets, if I'm being honest. And that's because it's the planet of spirituality and intuition and dreams and just all of that really fun stuff that I personally love. So, with those two planets conjuncting in Pisces, that means that February is going to be off with a bang in the idea that you are going to spend a lot of time in your head, but not necessarily in a bad way. You might feel like your intuition is heightened at the beginning of the month and that you're feeling more spiritual and more inclined to go inward, especially with your relationships. So, when the two planets conjunct, that means that their energy is kind of bouncing off each other, feeding back and forth. So think relationships conjuncting with Neptune, which is about, spirituality and intuition. It's all about that dreamy side of your relationships, if that makes sense. So you might find yourself having just really open and romantic talks with your partner. You might find someone new, or you might just see yourself broaden your horizons as far as like where you live. Maybe you're buying something new for your home because Venus represents that as well. It's just all about following what's in your heart. And of course, I think that's awesome. So that's why I'm excited for the beginning of this month. Personally, I'm actually moving on February the 1st. I'm moving into a new apartment with my partner for the first time. As you can see, it writes itself, ladies and gentlemen, because that makes perfect sense, especially with the cozy sign of Pisces. They're homebodies, they love being inside. It just makes sense that, of course, I would move on this day with this specific transit. And then on February 3rd, we have Venus again, and on the 3rd, it's going to be conjuncting North Node in Pisces. Again, something that I love and I think is such a fun transit. Are you kidding? So, again, like we just said, Venus is the planet of love, relationships, beauty, pleasure, all of those things. So fun. Think Taurus when you think Venus, they go hand in hand. Venus is going to be conjuncting the North Node, and the North Node in astrology is also, personally, I feel like I keep saying these are all my favorite planets, but that's what I mean. Astrologically, I always find myself loving the beginning of the year. The transits are fun. Fun things are happening. It's Capricorn season. It's Aquarius season. Huh. What more could you ask for? The North Node in astrology is all about what we put out into the world. For example, as your career, like what you are physically doing and putting out into the world. Because, just with our society, when you think putting something into the world, a lot of times you're going to think career. That's where you're going to be headed mentally. So with Venus and the North Node conjuncting each other in Pisces, it's honestly going to be similar energy to what I just talked about. I think you can expect positive energy once again. Think about your relationships and how that changes your view of yourself and how you're putting yourself into the world. I always like to think of my partner, for example. We very much so go back and forth with our ideas. We're like the same person through and through, honestly. And so we're always building ideas off of each other when it comes to like our home and our creativity and just bettering our own relationship. I feel like that's something we're really good at and we've always just clicked on naturally. And that's the perfect example of this conjunction here. So, like with me moving on the 1st, by the 3rd, we're going to be unpacking, building the space together, putting our home together. It's what we're putting out into the world. And of course, I'm talking with my partner and being with my partner while I do that in the sign of Pisces because it's dreamy and it's fun and it's exciting. And once again, that brings me back to it's crazy how it writes itself. Crazy how astrology writes itself. And then on February 4th, Venus, again, because she is spicy this month, she enters Aries, which is so fun. It sounds a little bit scary, but I love this. I think this placement is fun. I think Aries is fun. And when Venus enters Aries, that means that Venus is going to show a lot more characteristics of the sign of Aries. So in your relationships and what you find value in, pleasure, beauty, it's all going to be charged with that like fast, spontaneous, go-getting Aries energy. If you're single, you'll be asked on a date. Maybe you'll find yourself asking someone else on a date, finding yourself making an impulsive purchase, even maybe when it relates to like beauty and skincare and fashion and how you're presenting yourself. Anything like that, just think of how Aries energy is going to impact all the things that Venus encompasses. The 4th is definitely a bigger day this month, and it's one that I would like for sure star on the calendar because also on the 4th, not only does Venus enter Aries, but Jupiter is also stationing direct and the Jupiter retrograde is finally over. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it's over. I don't know about you. And when a planet is in retrograde, it's all about turning inwards. Anytime you see something in retrograde, just look at the values of that planet and what it represents and understand that you're probably just going to take those values and go inward during this time. So you're going to be thinking a lot more about yourself and what you want. You know, you could spend that time unsure and nervous and stressed, or it's just an introspective time. And that's usually what I like to make it. Reflecting a lot on what I'm doing at the time and if I'm on the right track and leaning towards the right goals, that's a good and healthy thing. It doesn't have to be scary. Of course, it only makes sense that Jupiter is going to station direct in Taurus. And I say that again just because it makes so much sense with my own life right now. With Jupiter stationing direct in Taurus, it's all about focusing on security and the home and your relationships. You know, Taurus, Jupiter together, you might have good luck when it comes to those ideals, or you might just find yourself focusing on it more. That's usually what I tend to see with Jupiter placements in my chart, is that I'm just focusing on that energy a lot more and I see it manifest a lot easier. So I really recommend just focusing on your intentions when Jupiter goes direct, because what do you want out of this? Planets are going to move regardless, but what goals and what ideas that you have do you want to see move forward during this time? That's what I cannot stress enough. On February 9th, we have the Sun conjuncting Mercury, another fun transit, let me tell you. So Sun conjuncting Mercury is always fun for me because I feel like it's just a positive thing. The Sun is all about your outward personality, how you appear to others, that core initial self. And when it conjuncts Mercury, which is the planet of communication and close travel and technology, all of those things, it's always like boom, boom, boom. Like you are moving fast and you are doing all of the things that improve your personality and improve who you are as a person. You might have conversations with others about who you are, or maybe that changes who you are or adds something new to you and yourself. Think about on this day, on the 9th, how you can really work with yourself and work with others, communicate with others to continue getting across that personality and getting across who you are. And then on February 12th, we have a very fun full moon in Leo. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just kidding. This will be fun. It will be great. Personally, a full moon in Leo is dope, in my opinion, because it's all about focusing on yourself. Leo, They love themselves. That's what the sign of Leo is all about, and all about the sun all the time. The moon will be in Leo, but of course we're in Aquarius season, so the sun will be in Aquarius. Those are pretty much polar opposite signs, like could not get any different in the aspect of Aquarius is all about the collective and the community. Leo, all about you. You. With a full moon in Leo, to me, I see that as a way to step back and look at how you're providing for others versus how you're providing for yourself and your own needs. And again, that's why I like having a full moon in Leo, because it almost forces you to go inward and look and say, oh, am I actually spending enough time focusing on myself and focusing on what I need, or am I worrying too much about others, for example, and that's getting in the way of being mentally where I should be. Another important thing that I'll say too to think about when you have a full moon or a new moon is that it's always a cycle. So whenever there's, for example, this full moon in Leo, that means you're going to want to go back to the last time there was a new moon in Leo. And this time it was, I think, August 5th, if I remember correctly. So go back, look at your camera roll, your text messages, I don't know, your memories. See what you were doing around this time in the beginning of August, because you're going to see something come to like a close or an end, or just like get an answer, usually is what you'll see. On February 14th, beautiful day of love, Mercury is going to enter the watery sign of Pisces, which is so cute. But I love Pisces so much because I'm a Capricorn and we just get along so well. So if you hate Pisces, I'm really sorry. I just love Pisces and how intuitive and dreamy they are. I think it's so fun. That being said, with Mercury entering Pisces, be careful to not go too inward in a negative connotation during this time. Pisces is always about being intuitive and going inward, so don't let those trains of thoughts just run around in your head. Be sure to remember to communicate with them, especially because it's Valentine's Day. Remember to express yourself and what you're thinking, and Valentine's Day is fun for everyone. And if you're single, you can have a good Valentine's Day. So don't get in your head about that. Just because Mercury is in Pisces, you can still have a dope day. And it's going to be sick. And I'll be your Valentine. On February 18th, the sun will enter the sign of Pisces before we restart the wheel for another year. So I've talked a lot about Pisces in this video, and I feel like I don't really need to review this too heavily. These are usually the parts of astrology that people understand more. The sun moving into Pisces, it's all about being intuitive during this time, following your imagination, following your dreams. You might have stronger, more vivid dreams during this time. Usually that's something that I notice. Anything to do with the beautiful sign of Pisces, it's what's going to be going on. And then on February 23rd, the North Node comes back to play because she's conjuncting the sun. So again, we've talked about the North Node in this video, so I won't go too in depth with this as well. But with the sun conjuncting the North Node, this is all about the self and how you present it to the world and what you're putting out into the world. And for someone who's a Capricorn, this is a transit that I love. I feel like this is just a positive transit in general. You might receive maybe like recognition on this day, or you might just have like a really good day at work, or someone's going to recognize you for what you're doing and be super positive about it. It's all about, again, what you're putting out into the world. So when it's aligning and like bouncing off of that energy of the self, it's all about just being confident and trusting in yourself, and whatever you're passionate about, put that into it. Don't be afraid to do that. And thank God, I feel like this is the thing that I have been most excited for this year so far. On February 21st, on February 21st, on February 24th, Mars is finally stationing direct. It's done. Retrograde's over. We're done. I never want to go back. So good on that. Y'all be safe. Mars went into retrograde at the beginning of December, I believe. Still in retrograde as of this video, and it still will be for about another month. That's okay. We're going to make it. We're going to get through it. So that being said, this is all about moving forward, being actionable. Like I said earlier, when a planet's in retrograde, it kind of tends to turn you inward about the values of that planet. So Mars is all about action, taking direction, moving forward, just going, because it rules the sign of Aries. So during this time, if there was like a project or something that you wanted to start, but you weren't quite ready, or like a decision that you were just mulling over. Once Mars goes direct, you're going to find yourself knowing that you're ready to go. Like whatever's happening is going to happen. You're going to take action and you're going to step into it. And even if you don't think you will, I don't know, you'd be surprised, because I always see this with anything to do with Mars. And maybe that's just because I have a lot of first house and like Mars and Aries placements, I guess. But Mars is a powerful planet in my opinion, and it really does force you to take whatever you're scared of and just go for it. And last, but of course not least, on the last day of the month, February 28th, we will be having a new moon in Pisces, which is a crazy left turn from the full moon in Leo, by the way. So naturally, we of course have Pisces energy once again, which I love. We're going to be in Pisces season during this time and have a new moon in Pisces. So this is going to be a day where you got to stay calm and you're not going to get emotional, because it's going to be fun. But seriously, I think that new moons are such a good time to just really look inward and make new goals for whatever's upcoming until the next full moon in Pisces, for example. Especially with this being the last day of the month, just look forward to March. What are you looking to do intuitively, creatively, with your own, inner self? What work do you want to do on yourself for the month of March? Because that's what we're going to see. And that's what's so exciting about it. I don't know. I just love new moons. I think they're so fun. It allows us to set intentions, just reflect. And with that being said, that is all of February. How sick is that? So if you had fun hanging out with me and you liked chillaxing, you might as well subscribe. Especially if you're still watching this video, just go ahead and subscribe, because that's sick. And you obviously have a really dope attention span, so you would probably like my channel where I have longer videos. But I'm also just like totally pulling that out of my butt. So anyways, I'll be back next Thursday with a new video. Also informative, also fun. And I can't wait to see you there. So be sure to subscribe. And I'm going to talk to you so very soon. And thanks for joining me on my first video since I was 17 years old, 18 years old. Now I'm 23. So that's weird. Okay, bye.